The second game today is at Old Trafford. Manchester United taking on Spurs, looking to kickstart 2024. They're boosted by the return of 6 players, Casemiro, Alessandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, for example, all back in training. They're currently in 9th in the table, just checking after the results from yesterday. They've lost 9 of their 20 Premier League matches, Cass, equaling the total number of defeats they suffered in the entirety of last season. But they will leapfrog Chelsea and Brighton into 7th if they can beat Tottenham today. Don't forget, Tottenham beat them earlier this season in North London. It's long. We've talked lots about Manchester United's struggles this season, Cass. The Jadon Sancho situation has been resolved. He has now left the club on loan to Borussia Dortmund. And we wait to see what will happen in this transfer market with Manchester United. How much scrutiny is Erik ten Hag going through right now? Is he one of the most scrutinised managers in the Premier League right now? Yeah,
you're managing one of the biggest clubs in the world, not just in England. You're managing in the world. Look at Man United as a product, and you're going to be scrutinised, and they have not had a good season. There's not a lot of good things being said about Manchester United. Their playing style is not particularly attractive. The performances have been pretty dire for quite a number of matches also. Today, it's a big game. It's Spurs. Spurs have a style that has come in to Old Trafford to try and beat them. Years ago, Spurs would have come to Old Trafford or gone to Old Trafford and tried to hang on, try and get something out of the game that way. Today, I'll be very surprised if it's more possession with Tottenham. Okay, more chances created by Tottenham, because United have got to show that there has been some improvement.
So they're at risk of suffering 10 top-flight losses for just the 5th time in their Premier League history. And I know football began a long time ago. Yeah. It's not just about the Premier League, but basing it on Premier League stats, it would be, as I say, the 5th time that they could lose 10 top-flight games. Out of the previous 4 campaigns that has happened, they have opted for a change in management of 3 of them. We had David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ralph Rangnick, for example. Now, we know that there's been new investment in the club with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who's taking over the football operations by all accounts, and he's not going to say any different. But Erik ten Hag has said he's had positive talks with him, that he's very supportive of him. But if this season was to end in a mid-table finish, would we see Ten Hag in charge next season?
Well, let's get it right. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is a very smart man, obviously being one of the richest men in Britain, if not the richest. He will know, and he'll have people around him, because what smart people do, they employ other smart people who do jobs in their fields very well. Now, he will have his eyes all over. And look, he's not the owner at the moment, but his stake will entitle him to some sort of benefits that will enable United and push forward from where they are at the moment. Now, people always use this phrase, Nat, clubs change, and that's not the problem. The problem's been the same at Old Trafford. It's been upstairs, mainly. Since, obviously, the great days of Fergie, and the Edwards family and others who have played their part of the club. This club is not being run like a club of the highest stature. It's been run like a mid-table or championship club, in my opinion. How can you have such a bad recruitment year by year that's not worked for you? So many transfer deals have backfired on them. That's not what they were about. They were always a club for me that, when they called upon certain players, there'd be players that fitted the puzzle, the jigsaw really, really well.
I think I saw a piece in the Times this morning from Jonathan Northcroft. Well, he talks about the midfield crisis at Manchester United and how a lot of the players that have been brought in have just not proved to be the right fit. They've not fulfilled the potential or fulfilled what was promised from them. Bruno Fernandes, of course, is the captain of Manchester United. He's been a topic of conversation this week across the talkSPORT network. He's created 54 chances in the top flight this season. That's more than any other player. And on Breakfast this week, Ali McCoy said he feels Fernandes is being let down by his teammates.
I think I'm not happy with all the hands up and all that stuff, but I've watched him closely, and he's probably been the best player, right, which you got to take into account. United haven't been good. I actually think I think he would be a top player in a top team.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I've just been a little bit disappointed with him this season.
I think he's been, dare I say it, dragged down a little bit. I do. I mean, as I keep saying, I thought the penalty was embarrassing the other night, I've got to say. But I just think the surroundings and everything that's going on around him has maybe brought him down a little bit.
He's quite a divisive figure, is Bruno Fernandes. When he's on it, he can be brilliant. And when he's not, he can be a petulant, stroppy child. We've seen that many a time in the red colours of Manchester United. But what side of the fence are you on? Do you agree with what Ali says and that actually he's been let down by others? Or?
I don't see him as captain material. Right. I think performance-wise and chances created and goals scored, his numbers are always going to be good. Yeah. So I see that. Look, they're going through a period in the forward areas. They're really failing badly. You know, obviously they've had the problems with Greenwood. They've had Sancho. They've had obviously Anthony come in as another player. Garnacho looks like a real talent. Højlund is a 22-year-old who's been brought into the club, expected to deliver straight away. There's an element, I would imagine, of frustration with Fernandes. Mm-hmm. I think that's an obvious feature. He has qualities. Do they win the Premier League with him? Coin flip for me, not sure. If they could ever challenge to win the Premier League, I think he has to be. But
has he been let down by teammates?
I have to say let down. I think there are so many complex issues at Manchester United. I wouldn't say that's a no, because it's a really hard one to answer, because his numbers are really good. Yeah. His numbers could be in a team that, you know, are successful. Right. So I'm sort of contradicting myself slightly, but his all-round play at times, and one thing he does really badly. He's not very good without the ball. Right. Now, there are good players. Have you said to me, Phil Foden, of how good he can be? I say he's really good without the ball as well. Have you watched Almiron yesterday? You know, he's not at the top table. He's not going to win the Premier League, in my opinion, with Newcastle. But he's a player without the ball that runs his socks off, chases. So Fernandes is a bit of an issue when you lose the ball, because there's two parts of the game: how good you are with the ball and how good you are without it. And he's not very good at all without it.
Well, it is a 4:30 kickoff at Old Trafford. Manchester United taking on Tottenham. We will keep you updated on it once it gets underway and bring you all the team news as well when it's announced.
The Sunday Sports Breakfast with Natalie Sawyer and Tony Cascarino. Sunday mornings from 6 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.